Good morning, Brad Burkhart here, Killer Bass Baits, Killer Bass Guide Service, Mercury Bass Pro Shops Nitro Pro, and thought we would go ahead and get the Where's the Bite for the May video took care of this morning. Getting ready to put in here on Washbar Lake and do a little bit of fishing, try to help some guys out. And what we're going to talk about today is what's been going on for the month of May. All right, everybody knows that we've had a really heavy shad spawn going on, so we're going to talk about a couple of baits to cover that with that I've been using. And then also we've got a big wave of fish that are in the full-on post spawn, settling into their summer haunts. And then also I'm going to show you the little bait that I use to catch these smallmouth all the time on Cherokee. And I catch them everywhere I go, and on this bait. And I mean, I've caught big spotted bass as far down as Lewis Smith in Alabama on this thing, and it's a great little old bait, so I'm going to drop that on you too. So first thing, let's go over the two baits that I've been using the most in the last couple of weeks for the shad spawn. It's been really good. Now y'all know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a shad spawn. If you ever walk down to the boat ramp and you see shad, you know, flickering all over the bank or up against a riprap, there's nothing actively chasing them to make them do that. What they're doing is they're actually spawning. And of course, then naturally it brings a largemouth smallmouth, it brings big game fish in. So when that's going on, you need to use that to your advantage. And obviously using baits that mimic shad, you know, are kind of a no-brainer. So let me give you just a glimpse of the two baits that I've been using a lot that covers the majority of the water column that you're going to be catching these things in. First one's Killer Bass Bait Spinnerbait. This is that new color I put on the Facebook a couple weeks ago. This is black shad, and it's just white with a little bit of black in it. Silver blades, 1/2 ounce. I always put the Zoom Fat Albert trailer on it, but that's a really good bait to mimic shad, so I've been using that. And then also I've been using the Zoom Horny Toad, okay? Now, the deal with both these baits, this bait right here is going to cover that ankle deep water when they're up chasing grass, chasing shad and grass and stuff like that, and around really shallow bushes. You can skip it really good under boat docks, things like that. It's a real user-friendly bait. It's not going to get hung very much. Gamakatsu makes a special hook that goes into that thing. You got a screw lock that screws in here, and then you're just going to skin hook it, run it all the way through the bait. You can see it right there, and just bring it up and just skin hook it and let it lay against the back of the body like that. I throw this thing on 65 or 50 pound braid, whatever you want to throw it on that you feel comfortable with. Either one's really, as long as it is broad. And then when you get just a little bit deeper, when you're on those little bit deeper banks, maybe some riprap stuff, slow rolling a spinnerbait is the way to go for those things on that shad spawn. Now, a lot of guys throw chatterbaits, and you know I've been catching them on a swim jig. You saw that in the past. That's a really good bait too, but I'm just hooked on this color right here. A friend of mine put me on this color, and it's really good, and I like it a lot. I've been catching a lot of fish on it, and you can do a whole lot with this thing, okay? And as far as swimming this dude around boat docks and bushes and things like that, it just doesn't get any better than that. Like I said, this thing's a 1/2 ounce, got a Mustad 4/0 in it. You can see right there, both of the blades are nickel. And then I always put a Zoom Fat Albert on the back of it, okay? So that's going to cover my shad spawn. And remember now, the shad spawn only goes on for about 1.5 hours or so, 2 hours after daylight. You're lucky if you get a real cloudy day, and maybe it'll go on for a couple hours, a little bit longer than that. But most of the time, 1.5 hours, 2 hours will knock it in the head. But anytime you see those shad on the bank flickering like that, you need to use that to your advantage. You need to use shad style baits, and you need to try to get up and run as much of that water as you can. Now, after that shad spawn's been dying, what I've been doing is going out just a little bit deeper. And this has been my go-to bait in the last 2 weeks. Okay, that's just a Strike King 6XD, that's chartreuse and blue, and you can see I've changed the hooks on it. I used the short shank Mustad triple grips. I'm not a big fan of the hooks that come on it. They tend to break a lot. This is a great bait for the price, I'll be honest. I mean, they run true right out of the pack. You're not going to have any problem with them. And chartreuse and blue on the majority of our lakes around here are just a a solid standard color that you're going to be able to get by with almost all the time. I crank this thing on 12-pound fluoro. All right, some people use 15, a little bit bigger. Some people use 10. Me, along with half of the other people that I know that do a tremendous amount of cranking, everybody uses 12. 12 is just a really good all-around color. But that's what I've been using since we've got really deep into the post-spawn, early summer type thing, okay? And it's, for example, Douglas Lake has had some really good schools of fish on it lately. They're starting to get beat up a lot. They're starting to scatter. If you idle over them and look at them on your depth finder, you'll see them, and then when you turn around and come back and check them again with your sonar, they'll be gone. And they just feel all that pressure, everybody idling them, and they've been getting beat on a lot. But 2 weeks ago, it was pretty easy to catch a lot of fish on this bait, and some big ones also. But when you get deep into the post-spawn, man, a deep crankbait's really hard to beat. Now, you know, you can throw a Carolina rig, you can throw a football jig, but it's all about efficiency. And if you can cover more country and get more bites, then that's what I want to do. So I like to crank a lot in post-spawn. It's just a really good bait to use when they get in that post-spawn mode and everybody's starting to move out to the drops and the ledges and things like that. And that's what I'm going to do today here on Watts Bar. I'm going to go out and crank a bunch of holes, see if I can find some there. Now, I told you I was going to show you the bait that I've been using to catch them on Cherokee. A lot of y'all keep up with me, and I do a tremendous amount of fishing and guide trips on Cherokee Lake, and I pride myself on keeping up with the smallmouth on Cherokee. I'm hooked on the crazy things. I'm just about cursed by them. I believe I could go to Florida and catch a smallmouth. They seem like they always show up. But there's a ton of baits out there, okay, that you can throw. I mean, everybody throws these small Kitex, the Bass Pro Shops Speed Shad. Everybody throws those small swim baits to catch these things. But I'm going to be honest. That little dude right there is probably accounted for more 5-pound class smallmouth in my boat, and just numbers period, than any other bait that I can think of. That's a 5-inch Gary Yamamoto grub, and it's very easy to use. You throw it on 6-pound test fluorocarbon. If you can see, I put that little loop knot on it to give it more action, the same knot that I use on Tightline. But there it is. That's it. And I ain't gonna go too much farther, okay? But that's it. Gary Yamamoto grub, 1/4 ounce head. You can get the head at killerbassbaits.com. That's a 1/4 ounce for the grub. 3/16 and 1/8 is what I tightline with. We'll talk about that later on in the winter. 6-pound fluorocarbon, P-line, Bass Pro Shops fluorocarbon. Either one of those are great choices. You can get all that at Bass Pro Shops. The rod that I use on the grub is, I don't know if you can see it there, 7-foot Tightline series. It's a medium action. You can throw it a mile and it's still got enough backbone to get it hooked. But there's the setup. There's the rod for the grub. Now, as far as cranking the big plug, I like a glass rod. It's the glass graphite composite blank. I use a 710 so I can throw the thing a really long way. And like I said before, I use 12-pound fluorocarbon on my plugs. On the Toad, this is a 7-foot Trident. It's a 7-foot medium heavy. And if you notice, our new line of Tridents that come out, they do have a lure keeper on them. We've redesigned that a little bit. And also, let me show you something else that we've done new on the Tridents. We've put a heavy duty eye on it. So if you guys had any problems with any of the tips on the other Tridents, we put a bigger, heavy dutier tip on it, so you're not gonna have any problem with that tip. Very durable blank, durable rod. These things only retail for $99.99 on the website, killerbassbaits.com. Like I said, this is a Trident, 7-foot medium heavy. And remember now, I throw the Toad and almost all my topwaters on 65 or 50-pound braid. And then on the spinnerbait, it's a Trident 610 medium heavy. Okay, 6-foot 10-inch medium heavy Trident. Again, it's 99 bucks. And I throw my spinnerbaits, all my spinnerbaits, on 17-pound test fluorocarbon. You can get all of these lines, the 6XD, most of these lures, you can get all this stuff. You can get stocked up at Bass Pro Shops on all this, or you can give me a shout and I'll help you out and get you took care of on what you need. Again, I appreciate you guys hanging out and watching all these videos. It's kind of amazing how many people watch them. I enjoy doing them, and evidently it helps some guys catch some more fish and some gals. So I appreciate y'all watching, and I will catch you all the 1st of July, and we'll cover Where's the Bite for the month of June. Again, I'm Brad. Appreciate you. God bless. See you next month. Good catching.